This is a reflection on the readings for the fifth Sunday in Lent in the year 2020, the year that we are unable to worship together in our church because of a pandemic. The readings for this Sunday seem to have been especially picked for what we are going through now, as we're sequestered in our homes, not able to gather for church or for school or to do our usual activities, at least not in the way we're used to doing them. And what I mean by that is that our readings this week speak powerfully of death and resurrection, powerfully, a powerful way that also connects with what's happening in our world even now. These are not just stories of long ago and far away. We're in the midst of what feels like death to some and is actual death to others. Certainly, our cherished religious rituals seem to be in the tomb. And it is hard to hear the dire predictions of expected deaths from the COVID-19 virus, a disease that continues to spread through our country and into our communities, seemingly out of nowhere. We are isolated at a time when we want to be together, when we need each other. It is discouraging. I hope you've been able to keep your prayer life going. I hope you've been able to set aside a place at home where you can sit and pray with your family or alone, where you can read scripture, light a candle, sing, look at a beautiful image, say your prayers. I hope you are able to keep the faith, and I'm well aware that it is hard. But our faith is centered on the power of God to even raise the dead. Death never has the last word for Christians because we believe, we know that God acted in history to raise Jesus, who had been crucified, who died, who was buried. We believe in the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. And so on this fifth Sunday in Lent, we hear familiar stories again, but maybe in a more personal way this year. God can raise what has died and give it new life. Breathe new life even into dried up old bones. The prophet Ezekiel's vision of the valley of dry bones gave hope to the Hebrew people who had been carried away into exile after their temple was burned to the ground. They thought they were done for as a people, as a religious community. Their worship spaces gone. But God said to them through the prophet, "Look, I am your God, and you are my people. I am with you wherever you are, and I will give you new life." And then we hear the story of Lazarus, Jesus' friend over whom he wept, brother of Mary and Martha, dead for days in the tomb. Remember how Martha in the King James Version put it, "By this time he stinketh." Lazarus was dead and buried and bound by his linen death wrappings. And yet when Jesus called his name and told him to come out, he came out, still bound, but newly alive, no longer dead. And Jesus asked his friends to unbind Lazarus and to let him go. Our St. Michael's community is not able to come together and be together right now, and maybe that feels like death. Maybe it feels like we're in a tomb, and pretty soon a stone is going to be rolled across the entrance to shut us in or shut us out. We may fear that what's inside no longer has life. But this is our story, our central and most sacred story, that God brings life out of death Death has never had the last word. Jesus called Lazarus to come out, and yes, he needed a little help from his friends, but he came back from that dark and empty place. It couldn't hold him. This is our story. This is our God who acts even in our own world to bring new life. This is what Easter is. Hold on to that hope. We're not yet there, of course. We are deep in the darkness right now, and we will probably be there for some time. But this is our hope. There will be life again. And like the resurrected Jesus, it may be changed in ways we will need to learn to understand as we begin to experience it. Life may be changed. We may be changed. The way we do things may change. Our community may be changed. But we will always be under the care of our shepherd, Jesus, who himself experienced death, but now has risen in glory. Thanks be to God.